Alright. So here I stand, ready to be copyrighted out of existence by the Lorerunner. I suppose I'm sitting. Bad jokes aside, I'd... I've been thinking about something for quite a while, actually. It's something I've been thinking about doing, and I figured, you know what? I'm not really doing this for any kind of monetary gain or anything like that. So I figured, give me one sec. I figured I'd go ahead and do a look back at a part of my childhood. I guess teenage years would be more accurate in this case. But in this case, it was to look back at a franchise that I hold pretty near and dear to my heart. And those that have seen my Ruby stuff, it's Yu-Gi-Oh! Although if you read the title, you would have already figured that out. I have really enjoyed the Yu-Gi-Oh! Franchise for a long time now. And I've always thought of it as a... Well, let me put it to you this way. The Lorerunner is never gonna really cover anime. Sorry for the lighting. My time of recording is kind of, but that's because I don't want to record when the sun is down because that is literally like 10 at night. Anyways, but where was I? Right. It is doubtful that the Lorerunner will ever go ahead and cover a series like Yu-Gi-Oh! And he's also been getting further and further away from the rumination format in general. So, I have decided I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to do that. I'm going to cover the Yu-Gi-Oh! Anime. But there is a couple of things I have to get out of the way right off the bat. So, let this video be kind of a preface, like a kind of thing I can link you back to if I can link people back to in case people forget questions that I'm sure are gonna crop up, excuse me, right? The first and the most obvious being, the most obvious, of course, being, which version are you going ahead and covering? For the record, I am covering both the subtitled version, the Japanese version, and the dub done by a 4Kids Entertainment, or as they are now known today, 4K Media. I'll give you a second to get the booing out of your system, because I get it, because it is basically impossible to talk about several franchises, really, without mentioning 4Kids, really. Because they got a hold of so many different IPs, right? They had dubs of the Kirby anime. They, of course, did Yu-Gi-Oh!, Pokemon. That's probably their most famous one right there, if not Yu-Gi-Oh! What else was there? Shaman King. They did a dub of Shaman King. They, of course, dubbed Sonic X. They also did a dub of, it wasn't really anime, but it was an Italian. If I'm getting this wrong, forgive me. Winx Club. They did Winx Club. They also did the dub of Tokyo Mew Mew's anime, which they dubbed Mew Mew Power. I'm embarrassed to admit that I watched it and thought it was fine. But here's the thing: everybody bashes them, right? What everybody brings up is the censorship in Pokemon, the censorship in Yu-Gi-Oh. Oh, the name changes. The name changes, the card art changes in Yu-Gi-Oh! And of course, the most infamous example that everybody's which no, I didn't forget about it. Who the hell could who was alive in the 2000s, who was watching anime in the 2000s? Who could? Their dub of One Piece. Now, I will be sticking up for a lot of things 4Kids had done. Yeah, their One Piece dub is not going to be on that list. I mean, duh, right? I mean, Jesus. One Piece is one of those franchises where you just have to look at 4Kids, look at their MO, and be like, the fuck are you thinking? And that was kind of one of the problems. They were taking shows that were aimed at more teenage demographic and trying to dumb it down, you know? Yeah, which is something we will, of course, be going over as we go through this, which is also the other reason why I'm looking at both the sub and the dub, because I wanted to compare and contrast them to kind of show, to give credit where it's due, but to also bash the crap out of them. I mean, and granted, any jokes that I make are not going to be original. I mean, Little Karibo has kind of beaten me to the punch on that front. Because of course he has his frickin' his Yu-Gi-Oh! Abridged. Yu-Gi-Oh! Abridged has been going on for like a decade. I can't really make a joke. Any joke that I make is not. You will have heard from him, pretty much, right? So expect more than a few references to Yu-Gi-Oh! The Abridged series. I'm not obviously going to be covering Yu-Gi-Oh! Abridged because that would just be unfair. I will, however, be using Yu-Gi-Oh! Abridged to bash the show when it becomes appropriate. Cough, cough, Fate of the Pharaoh. Cough, cough. But at the same time, I have to acknowledge one simple thing. 4Kids is not as black and white with their crap as you might think, right? Because they also produced a few shows, which are or they were like publisher, I guess would be more to use the more game equivalent. They were the publisher of specific series. Which is funny because one in particular was from Mirage Studios, and their series got a lot of crap past 4Kids. Holy shit. If the name Mirage Studios does not sound familiar, well, they made an iteration of a popular franchise. He's that started in 2003 that you might have heard of, called Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Yeah, the 2K3 Ninja Turtle series was in fact being overseen constantly by 4Kids. I encourage you to go back and try to watch that, especially season 3. I want to say, yeah, especially season 3, and realize that was 4Kids scrutinizing everything, and realize how much crap they got away with. Especially the episode Same as It Never Was. Oh my god, that episode. Just, oh my god, Jesus. uh-huh. Uh-huh. Yeah. I mean, there is literally a part of that episode where the Shredder says, "Bring me Donatello with or without his head." Or bring me Donatello's head with or without his body.
Excellent. I want Donatello's head brought before me, with or without his body.
Like, what? Jesus. Just, oh my god. Oh my god. Again, like I said, 4Kids, was financially back in that series. But the other reason why I want to look at both the sub and the dub, getting back to Yu-Gi-Oh, is I feel like people, when they review Yu-Gi-Oh, they'll rewatch whichever version they're reviewing. If they're looking at the sub, they are going to not rewatch the dub at all. And if they're looking at the dub, they're not going to bother with the sub. And so it flows both ways. I do not intend to do that. I intend to actually do my due diligence. So nobody can accuse me of just being nostalgia blind, because I'm looking at both objectively speaking, and I will try to give my reasonings about which are one way or the other. And the other thing too is I'm also going to keep track of which episodes I actually prefer in the dub versus which ones I prefer in the sub. The ones in the sub are probably going to be way, way higher. Hi, Waking the Dragons, how you doing? And then there's other things that I will probably prefer in the dub. And obviously I'm going to be accused of nostalgia blindness, because of course I will. But whatever. I'm going to get that regardless of what I say about 4Kids, so shrug. Really. And for the record, my most recent rewatch of, I've actually seen, I'm pretty sure I can actually buy episodes of the 2K3 series on YouTube, so I might just cover the first 3 seasons of it, unless YouTube has, do I have my phone right by me? Oh, God damn it, I don't seem to have my phone. Oh well. I suppose, though, it doesn't really matter. But regardless, yeah. Now, is this format gonna bite me in the ass later? Yeah, it will. And I even know the specific show that is going to bite me in the ass the hardest, as weird as this might sound. Zexel, or Zale if you prefer. Yeah. Also, I should probably go ahead and note that I'll try and make a note of this when we get to the series proper, but yeah, I'll probably be using the English names because that's what I'm used to. That one you can claim as nostalgia blindness. That one right there, I will not dispute you if you call that nostalgia nostalgia blindness. Excuse me. Because let's face it, it is. So, yeah. And the reason why Zexel is going to be where that's going to be the most irritating to deal with is because there's only one version on Crunchyroll, which is how I'm going to be watching these. Yeah. With Arc 5, I can kind of finagle it because, like with Zexel, there's only one version on Crunchyroll, on the Canadian Crunchyroll, obviously. But I might have a solution for that, if I'm even bothering with that awful dub. Oh my god. Ugh. But regardless, I am going to go ahead and not have my remote work properly for a second. I am going to go ahead and start prepping for that. So, from my perspective, I will see you in about an hour. Because, again, both versions. And from your perspective, I'll see you next week. Till then, Blue Fox signing out, and all that's left to say is the blatantly obvious: it's time to duel! And man, are the duels going to be kind of hilariously underpowered for a good long while. I'll see you later, guys.